basketball. Head coach Lisa Stockton there for her 28th season. As you look at 4 incoming freshmen and a big-time transfer, Moon Urson, coming over from Baylor. Head coach Stockton joining us now. Thanks so much, Lisa. We saw the piece about the Hurricane Ida hitting there and you guys having to leave New Orleans. As a team, what did that do for a bonding experience as your girls spent so much time just as a close-knit group away from the training center?
Well, I definitely think you can turn something like that into a positive. We kind of reflected back on the year of COVID where we felt like we spent so much time together. So this is a little extended. I think I learned the most from my team from Family Feud. We played Family Feud and I learned a lot of things about our team. So there's things like that we're going to laugh about. But I'm really impressed with how our players handled it and just they had the right attitude. And, you know, we really got to get in there and train and get shots up and improve our skill. But we were really glad to get back to New Orleans.
Yeah, you go from getting no time to spend as a team to a whole lot of time in just a quick little minute. We mentioned Moon Urson coming over from Baylor. What does she add to your team?
Wow. You know, she's a player that people that have watched Baylor have certainly seen a player that has grown in their program. But I just love, you got a kid of that caliber of a player, but she's just such a great team player. I mean, she's come in and adopted with her new team has adopted her. She's talking, communicating, so mature, and just a fantastic athlete and fantastic player. So it's been fun coaching her.
Coach Brooke Weisbrod in the studio. I mean, wow, your 28th season, that's incredibly impressive. You've seen so many different elements of the game and how it's changed. But for you personally, what does it take as a coach to have that kind of longevity in this business?
Well, there's a lot I could say, but probably is to be adaptable. For coaches that have been, especially at one place, things don't stay the same. The players change. NCAA changes. Gosh, we've been through so many conference changes, and we just have to be adaptable. We have to be ready to adapt our system, our style, you know, even our personalities and how we talk to these players. I think you've got to be able to adapt, and I'm just fortunate enough to be one of those people that have been able to stay at the same school, and I love this university. I love what we're about, and it's a lot of fun to be able to just be around our grads and bring them in and our alumni and share their enthusiasm of the program with our current team.
Hey, Coach Mike O'Donnell here in studio. Krystal Freeman, 3 straight all-conference accolades. What's it been like coaching that kind of talent in a history program like Tulane? Well, I'm very excited about Krystal's season in particular. I think she's had 3 really good years and been all-conference and done some great things. I think she's had a lot of growth in her game and just the maturity that she has now. I think this is going to be her best season yet. I'm putting a little pressure on Krystal, I guess. But she's shooting the ball as well as I've ever seen her shoot it. And I think it's going to be a super year for her.
Coach, we have some questions for the media members via Zoom. I'll let Tom toss the first question your way.
Thanks, Chris. And just a reminder, if you want to ask a question, please use the raise hand feature in the chat. And we'll get to you. Our first question will be from Christy Thomas-Cuddy of ESPN.
Lisa, I think it's adaptability, but I think it's also good players that keeps you there 28 years. I mean, come on.
You're one of them. You're definitely one of them. That's one of my alums right there. But yes, definitely.
I wasn't exactly considering myself. 4 or 5 starters returning. And we've talked about the hiccup, which you can call the being displaced for a little bit. Positives come from that, negatives come from that. But with 4 or 5 starters returning, where will this program go now in this 28th season? And from an X and O perspective then, last year I thought you scored a lot more from your defense, allowing the offense, just to kind of relax at times. Should we expect more of that this year, or because of those veterans, are you trying to mix it up a little bit?
Well, I think a little combination of all of it. We took a big jump in our offensive efficiency last year. We spent a lot of time on it and really dedicated a lot of our practice time on it. So that was where we improved the most last year. I think you're going to see our upperclassmen being really comfortable in it. I think our transfers in were great fits for our system, and I think they are going to come in and pick it up and really help us. So I think we can advance our defense. I think we can do some different things defensively, but the efficiency of our offense, especially some of the games that got away from us, our offense was probably the issue, just not being able to hit shots, and I think we'll definitely attack that. We definitely address that this summer, and I think that's where we're going to improve the most.
Thank you.
Going through your schedule last year, a lot of close games. Where did you want to improve upon the most on last year?
Well, I definitely believe that you look at those close games. We've addressed some of the things with our team as far as just really minor stats that are major. Putting people on the free throw line in critical situations, putting them on the free throw line too much, giving away too many possessions rebounding-wise. And again, being able to guard people down the clutch. We won a lot of those games. We really had taken a big step in that. But being able to finish those, I mean, you take a South Florida game in the tournament, thought we played great defense, just couldn't make shots. So we've got to be able to make those. And I definitely believe this team has probably the most depth we've had in a long time. And again, you talk about experience. So I think those factors can really contribute that we'll have some options.
Coach, we're going to hear from Krystal Freeman in just a minute. I'm wondering if there's something we should ask her that you can give us a hint on. What's she like?
You know, I said what kind of year I think she's going to have. Maybe you need to ask her what kind of year she thinks she's going to have, because we're putting the pressure on her. I think you got to put it on her.
Good deal. We will do it. Thank you so much, Coach.
Great.
Looking forward to watching you start the season here soon.
Thank you.
Coach talked about, I mean, last year you don't get to spend any time team building because you can't even hardly be in the same room outside of practice. And then you go through a hurricane. You're forced not only to have to go through that in the city that you love so dearly, that you're then forced to move outside, go to Birmingham. You played at Coastal Carolina, which, you know, obviously has its share of weather issues and hurricanes. What did you experience as a player during your time there?
You know, we had to deal with, my time was 2 hurricanes, and one we evacuated and one we stayed for, and it wasn't during the season, so we didn't experience a lot of breakup with, you know, our practice time or playing time, but, you know, I can tell you staying on campus and experiencing that was, you know, it's really scary, and to just feel the elements and the weather, you really understand how powerful Mother Nature is. And then, you know, for our team, you know, I lived with a couple of my teammates, and so we just spent, it was almost like a mini quarantine. You know, we were together a lot, and we were able to bond and able to fight and able to work through it and all those types of things. But, you know, knowing the city of New Orleans and the spirit that they have, they're fighters, you know, and they do everything with such a sense of joy and appreciation for life. So, you know, you look at how they've responded, that they have a terrific program back in place. And, I mean, shout out to Lisa Stockton for being at one program for 28 years. You don't see that anymore in college basketball. So that tells you a lot about her dedication to the university.
Was there something that you took away from what she said?
I think when we're talking just specifically Tulane basketball, she mentioned offensive efficiency. And, you know, she mentioned we have to find positives in the fact that we're all together. I had to laugh because she says, yeah, we were a lot together during COVID. Now we have to continue that down. But the first thing that leaves, you know, anytime, Brooke, you know this, anytime you have a stoppage in play or practice or the game, the first thing that leaves is offense. Your shooting, your handle. You can make up a lot of things on defense just through physicality, grit, toughness, being aware. But the first thing that goes is offense. And so for Tulane, and Coach Stockton talked about, we have to increase our offensive efficiency. With more time together and the fact that you're not having a quarantine, social distance, I expect Tulane's efficiency on offense to be much improved. It wasn't bad last season, but I think it could be much improved because of all the time they've had together, given the fact that they had to be away from campus with Hurricane Ida.
Freeman, preseason All-AAC team for the 3rd year in a row. This is just old hat for you now, Krystal. Thanks so much for joining us. Coach wanted us to ask you one question. She said she knows what's in store for you, a big year. She wants to know what you think is in store for your year.
Well, I agree with Coach Stockton. I think that this year will be a big year for not only myself, but for my team, too. I was just talking to my mom about the team the other day and saying how this is one of the better teams we've had, and we have just so many dynamic players and shooters. So I think we have a lot going for us.
There was a time there where you guys had to leave New Orleans because of the hurricane. Who won in the Family Feud battles while you guys were having to stay away from the city?
Well, unfortunately, it wasn't my team. It was more of I think Sierra Cheatham was on there, Dinah Jones, Moon Urson. They all worked together and beat us. So it was crazy. It wasn't. I don't even think it was close, but they got it.
What did you learn about your team during that time together?
I learned that we're always going to be competitive no matter what it is. It could be Family Feud, Taboo, on the court. It doesn't matter. We're going to be screaming the whole time.
Krystal, Brooke Weisbrod in the studio. Bringing Moon Urson into your team has got to be such a great addition. We know she was a talented player at Baylor. I've heard some unbelievable stories about her strength. Is there anything you've witnessed personally in the weight room or on the court that you're like, whoa?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think the word that matches her perfectly is like power. She's fast and strong, and there's not many people that are both fast and strong. Like, it's one or the other, and she just displays that every single day on the court, and it's really nice to watch and have.
Krystal, Mike O'Donnell in studio here, and I read that you always have a song of the day. And so can you give us your song of the day today?
Okay. Yeah. On my way to practice this morning, I actually listened to a really old song, This Is What You Came For by Rihanna. So I guess that'll be my song for today.
Oh, no, a Rihanna song is...
It's old? Oh, man.
No. You're making us all feel old.
For Coach Stockton, her 28th season at Tulane, Krystal, I'm curious for you, what is the biggest thing you've learned from her in your time there?
I think the biggest thing I've learned being here at Tulane playing basketball is just our value for defense and how important that is for each player to just get in and do what you have to do on defense in order to get a stop, or in order to even be on the court, is just to value your defense.
Krystal, we have some questions via Zoom from the media members. I'll let Tom put the first question your way.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Chris. We'll go to Christy Thomas-Cuddy also with ESPN.
Hi, Krystal.
Hey.
So two questions for you. One, so this wasn't Lisa's first time having to evacuate campus due to a hurricane. And so I guess as a player, I want to know, again, this was your first time while you've been at Tulane to have to do that. So what kind of strength or confidence did you guys gain from watching Lisa through that process, or your staff for that matter? Because it's not the norm. I mean, to this point in the season, no one else had to do that. And then the second one's more X's and O's. I thought last year maybe didn't shoot as high a percentage from three, but I thought your rebounding was on point. I thought you did a little bit more as far as face up as well as back to the basket. So for you, what specifically did you work on this offseason to try to elevate? Lisa said you're shooting the ball extremely well, but what is your main focus to improve on for this upcoming season?
I think my main focus for this season, I've been working on my three. You know, they moved the three-point line back a little bit, so that was a focus, as well as when your shot is off, just trying to get to the basket a little more, just be a little more aggressive, make something happen for somebody else, or maybe get to the free throw line and get some more attempts there too.
And then, Krystal, if you could just talk about, during crisis, you need a beacon of hope. You need a beacon of just consistency. And that's where I go back to this wasn't Lisa's first hurricane that she had to take her team to a new city. So for you guys as players, with all the uncertainty, can you talk about what your staff provided you while you were in Birmingham, during all the chaos around you that was going on back in New Orleans? How did your staff perform for you?
Oh, the staff was great. They did everything we could ask for and even more. If we wanted to go to the mall, they drove us to the mall. If we were bored, they brought us to the Civil Rights Museum. We learned some things there. We even had Family Feud. That was fun. And somebody's birthday was even there. We had cake. We had 2 birthdays, I think. We had cake twice. So, I mean, we made do with what we had. And I think the staff was really nice, and they did everything they could. So shout out to them.
Thank you so much for having and joining us. We're looking forward to seeing you guys start the season here soon. Enjoy it this year.
Okay, thank you.